1, 2, 3. Hey everybody, welcome to the Laugh Lab podcast. This is Dave Kopp, and over here is Jason Wabshall. And today, special guest on the show, the best comedian in the world, Jordan Strauss.
Bet you didn't know that.
That's a pretty high praise.
Oh, come on.
We hear about it all the time.
We do.
Jordan.
Yeah, and we finally got him.
Yeah, I'm a hard get.
Yeah, we saved up a lot of money.
How much did we pay for this? Lots.
A lot of money.
It's a lot too much.
Yeah, you've got this guy, comedy specials, albums.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got those now.
Oh, come on.
Anyone can release a special.
What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, the bar is low in this industry.
Do you think we should change the word special?
Yes, I do. I think we have to put out a unit. We'll call it one unit of comedy. Every hour is a unit.
I think that's a way better idea. Yeah,
I said yes to I got offered the special by a record label. And
Yeah.
I did not feel like I was ready, but I also really needed the money. So
Yeah.
I was like, and they're paying for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and it needed a little bit more time in the oven, I think, honestly, but it was like the radio play has really helped financially, so I don't regret it. And it gave me an excuse to just get rid of all that.
I think it was a smart move.
So how long have you been doing comedy then?
Like 10 years, give or take, a pandemic or something.
And then when did you do the special?
I was 8 years in, so some of the jokes were ready, but I didn't have enough A material to fill 45. So some weaker jokes got sandwiched in there, and there was no real flow to it. It was very disjointed because it's all just the jokes I honed over 10 years.
It's like a pile of jokes.
It's just
you didn't sit
That's
down
good,
and
though.
set like
I
that.
did try and connect them as group them up as what makes sense to be next to the other one, and so I tried to make it flow nice, but it really wasn't written in a time frame where they were I was in the same mind state. I guess the way you write jokes in your first 2 years is going to be different than the way you write jokes your 7th and 8th year. So in that sense, it felt a little bit different. Like some of the ways the jokes were written were disjointed, I would say.
But I think what makes there's a bunch of things that makes Jordan unique, but what makes Jordan unique amongst a lot of the comics is you come from an artsy background.
Yeah.
I always found we talk about this all the time, but I always find that so many comics this is their first time making art.
Yeah, and I feel very lucky.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because my parents did not like my comedy, right?
Yeah.
They're very conservative. They find it vulgar.
I understand.
Right?
I get
but
it.
they do understand the pursuit of art and don't think it's stupid because they both made careers out of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a hurdle that a lot of comics feel they have to get over as far as justifying why they're spending so much of their time.
But you also, even more to my point, is you understand how art's created.
Yeah.
And you understand
Yes.
because a lot of times, imagine putting together an hour if you've never made art.
Yeah.
You're kind of lost in the. Yeah, you're kind of what is
That's
it?
how I do it.
Yeah.
I changed. That's where I was going with it. Sometimes I'm I've got my set in my order or whatever, and then the next thing I know, I'm fucking 4 jokes ahead on stage because somebody said something or did something.
But
and then I'm I got to get back to that.
Yeah. And there's a crossover, right? Because what you're describing is basically formatting, right? And there's a crossover between comedy and other arts.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so you're if you've only ever done comedy, it's you don't understand what it should feel like or how it should flow, right? When you're describing flow in comedy, it's if you've only ever done comedy, you can't describe flow. But if you've written a song, you get it better than somebody who's written jokes.
Things like rhythm and timing.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That comes, if you play an instrument, that helps massively with comedy because it's the same internal things that people like about music as far as the timing of stuff.
Like it, yeah.
It works with joke writing as well. You can see someone saying a joke on stage, and you can see all the components are there logically for it to work as a joke, but the rhythm and timing is off, so it doesn't hit.
Well, I see when I watch you, I see how smooth things flow, and it's just
I don't think it's a coincidence.
You can usually tell the people that are smoother or things, and then some of the guys that are a little more stiff. Even like some of these guys that have done for 10, 15 years, I'm like, man, I would have done that in a different order or something.
Yeah, and other guys have, it's always some people's strengths and other people's weaknesses. Like, I was a good writer at first, but I was terrible stage presence. I had -10 charisma. Not charismatic at all, but I thought that as long as the logical beats of the joke were spoken aloud, it would get a laugh. And so I was like, it's all going to be about like writing and like the joke makes sense logically, but the selling of the joke takes up a way bigger piece of the pie than I realized.
But you also do something special. I always use an example of someone who generates material, like truly generates it and like stacks it, and then you can see you at work. Like you show up with a new joke, and then you come the next weekend, and it moves and it moves, and then suddenly it's like, oh, that's a bit, and you don't give up. Whereas a lot of guys would give up.
I was like that. I'd give up on a lot of it.
Yeah, but you don't. But you don't now. Now it's like you come in with something and it's like molded, and then you mold it more and you add more clay.
Yeah,
it's really impressive, and it's like I don't think there's anyone else who does it as well.
As a new comic, I find it hard to bail on the stuff you know that works.
Right. Yeah.
When you're trying other stuff, and I've done it a few times where I've been trying new stuff, and then I don't feel everybody's with me, and then I kind of skirt back into your comfort zone. So when I see you guys that are building and just out there, but it probably comes. I don't do a lot of open mic or anything where you guys go like you fire.
It's pretty impressive, like taking a huge risk at open mic.
Yeah.
And willing to fall on your face there in order to do well on the weekend shows. And it's like so important because like so many people like it sounds obvious, but there's people who don't do it.
You try and like put that into new comedians' brains. Like open mic is for bombing.
Yeah,
like,
you're supposed to do that.
If you're crushing every open mic, you're probably either you're a genius or you're just doing shit works already.
It's not worth it. Not worth it. Yeah. So that's
and it's the least risk. It's the lowest stakes of the week. There's no reason to not bomb.
Exactly.
And even if you think like. You should write a joke that you think is so crazy that it almost certainly will bomb, and just see what happens, because you might get a little bit of like data from this parts that work, even if it's just chuckles. You're like, okay, 90% of that was shit, but these little points of like where I saw the audience perk up, those could be like gathered together and then like built on.
But it is fun. Like sometimes I just throw all new shit out there at a sold out show, and when they're laughing and going with you, it's like, fuck, that's awesome.
Great,
you're like, oh, this works.
But that's also cheating too, because like if you're always doing new shit on the weekend, you get a pop.
Yeah.
You get a pop on the weekend that you don't get on open mic. Open mic's honest. Yeah. So if you're like, oh, I'm crushing it, and it's like, yeah, I did all new stuff on Sick and Twisted and it crushed. It's like, it's like that show is like perfect for you, and there's so much atmosphere. No, the charity show is fine. But if you're doing a brand new bit on and it crushes on Sick and Twisted, it doesn't mean that it's going to crush.
I haven't done one of those.
Yeah, you still haven't.
The thing I always think that a joke, you can't consider it an A joke until it's consistent over like 20 shows, right? Because you can have that new joke energy where it's like the audience just feels your excitement because it's new to you and you're so excited to tell it, and then but replicating that energy show after show after show it's a whole different thing. I remember I had a bit that crushed so hard the first time I told it because I was so excited, and like the inspiration of the bit had just happened, and I went straight to open mic. It was about Forged in Fire, that show, Forged in Fire, and it like fucking destroyed. I was like, this is my new closer. I was like so high. I was like, this is it. Never got it to work again for 10 times in a row, and then I'm like, all right. I think it was just I was so excited that the audience fed off that, but
especially things that just happened.
Well, it's funny he says that because like only Katie and you have probably been to like all my shows, and so she's seen some of the same bit like 15 times, 20 times now, and where I'm still like, and the crowd's still loving it. She's like, oh, you're not telling it like as enthusiastic, like you're not, and so it's crazy that you're like, you have to feel it too for it to work.
And that's the way you can like hack that, is tagging it with something new, right? If it's starting to get stale, even if it's crushing still, eventually those laughs are going to start coming down because of the exact thing we're talking about. They can sense you're just reading off a script in your head.
You're just running it.
But if you even have one new tag in there, it'll like ignite that fire in you that you're excited to tell the joke, and that can like bring it back to life.
And I always try to build off of that. Like the charity shows for me, I really like doing, because I'll look at what charity show it is, what group it is, and then I'll try to involve those people so they're into it too. So you're excited to use those people. But yeah, if you were going to go on the road and do like that same bit 30 and you don't know who you're performing to, I could see it not working is good. Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of like comics that are at the end of a long tour like to do a lot of crowd work because they're just so fucking stoked on their set, even though their crowd work might not be that as good as their like. It's almost like a fair trade. Like I'm gonna do stuff I'm excited about rather than do this stuff I'm bored of, but it's really polished and great. But I don't feel like it. I'm so sick of it. They're gonna sense that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. What percentage do you think you do crowd work?
Oh, I probably do some of the least amount of crowd work out of anyone.
I was gonna say I haven't seen you.
But it's really refreshing. I think you balance it out because people go too far the other way.
I do crowd work if I'm forced to. Basically, it's not my go-to. I like to see. I really like the craft part of like writing a joke. So if I'm working on stuff and someone interrupts, it's like, you know, it's like building a fucking Lego and then someone like kicking like some of the pieces you needed across the room. And now you got to go back and you got to find the pieces and try and put it back together. So I don't like it when I have to do crowd work, but sometimes I do find it fun. And sometimes I'll do it if I'm really bored, but I've always got something I'm trying to work on, so.
That's what happened to me last week, or a couple weeks ago. I was so excited to work this new bit, and I was just getting to the point, and then this guy went, shut the fuck up, and I ended up circling back to him like 4, 5, 6 times, and then when I got home, I was like, I never finished that joke. I didn't finish so I still don't know how it would work.
Like that headlining set I did, like, whatever, a few weeks ago when you were gone, it was like I had all this 45-minute set or I wanted to do, and all this stuff I wanted to see would work, you know, rearrange some stuff, and I'm like, all right, this will be a great time to like run this 45 minutes exactly how I think it'll work best. And then I had 2 tables just completely take over the during the openers, and
the audience has been, I mean,
if you're listening to this,
we only have, there's only so much power I have over the audience as a club owner, because one of the big things that happens is just in case you don't know this and you're watching it, this is what's happening. So comics like Jordan have a lot of great written material. They don't want to burn it up because they got a special coming out and someone's going to pay them money. So they put out a bunch of crowd work material. So then people see the crowd work material and they're like, oh, that's what comedy is, me talking to a comedian. So you almost dug your own grave because you made these crowd work clips. But comedians in general, because they put out crowd work clips and then they're like, why does everyone talk to us? It's like, well, that's
right
why.
Off the hop, there was 2 tables where people were tagging jokes for the comic, you know, like when the comic's done their joke
and they think they're so smart,
and so by the time I got on, it was pretty much the like, you know, the inmates running the asylum type feeling up there, which is not something I haven't done before. I knew I wasn't going to get through my set the way I wanted to, just by how the vibe was, and I still had fun. It is fun when shit gets crazy and you're just like, what the hell is happening? I have to ask the audience to remind me what I was talking about like 10 times because I don't bring any set list up. I'm trying to do it all like from memory. So when shit goes off the rails, I'm like, I don't even know where the hell I was.
No, but it's a weird thing because like what we're describing, like if you're watching this and you're thinking like, why don't they just tell everyone to always shut up the whole time?
No, you can't.
And it's like, you also can't do that.
That would be the worst. They would just turn on you.
The audience will then be like, why did I pay money to get told to shut up? And it like, it ruins the vibe.
My first 3 years in comedy, that happened every show. But some comedians in our scene used to be very very conflict ready with the audience and not in a funny way, so there would be lots of shows
and it would fuck the show because the whole room would turn. They hate it, the comedians now, and now you're like, or as a host you can go up and be like, you guys let me tell you how it has to be, and then you end up being a substitute teacher vibe, and that screws it up. So it's like this weird thing, you're watching it and you're like, it can go off the rails and get crazy and still be fun.
I like turning on them or embarrassing them or getting their table almost against them and the rest of the room. It's pretty fun when like you say something and everybody laughs even louder than at your jokes and they're sitting there and they still think think they're funny. They're still trying to be. But the people that are adding the tags and stuff, they think they're part of the show because they see that shit all the time.
Oh, and they think they're the funniest guy at the show.
And then when there's 2 separate groups doing it, it's like, oh my god. It can't be fun. Sometimes if I'm like 20 minutes into a 45-minute set or like whatever, 5 minutes into a 20-minute set and I haven't been able to finish a single joke, the whole plan goes out the window. And then you just try and riff with them, crowd work. If they hit a subject you have a joke written about, you can hit that joke real quick and they'll think you've
I think it's kind of cool when you get to the level where you're at and beyond. It's like, 25 minutes is so malleable.
Yeah.
You can move things so much within that time and still be okay.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you go up and do 25 without a plan?
I mean, I like to have a plan.
You do.
But for me, 25 minutes is like not even enough time for me to really figure out the things I'm working on or working on, because nowadays, I don't know if this is a good thing, honestly, but a lot of the bits in the second half of my set will have lots of callbacks to the first half and shit.
That's
I don't know
a
if
good
I'm shooting myself in the foot by doing it, but
I think you're supposed to do that. I always try to
good.
start with something and then at the end come back to it.
Yeah.
And it's so fun when you can actually do it and connect to it.
Or like pieces of information. Like I have a joke about sending my baby back in time to kill Hitler, but that joke doesn't work nearly as well if I just start talking about if I do material about having a baby before they're already on board with the baby thing, right? They've already gotten introduced to the fact that I have a baby, and so when I start talking about that, they get into it a lot more quickly, right? Instead of me just like quickly mentioning I have a baby and then going into it.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. It's just like logical flow of like the set becomes more important to me as I've gotten further into it, but it's totally different for other comedians. Like,
so when you film a special and you have people there, how do you get across that, hey, this is going to be important, shut the fuck up?
Well, when there's a special, like last one, there's camera crews, there's people there's like big cameras, there's, mics in places that normally wouldn't be there. The host usually, if there's a special, they'll
say, hey, don't interfere with this.
Some people will put signs on the door as you're walking in, like this is an album recording or a special recording, like it please like.
And you did 2 takes too.
2 takes, yeah, and then. But yeah, usually if you really someone gives them the lowdown, usually the host will go up and be like, this is a special show, like this is a recording, so like. Even then, you're still gonna have
that interaction, and because it does make you that comedian.
Yeah.
But I could see that being difficult because it's like.
Yeah. So and then with the special, it's like you have to try and keep your cool even more because you might only get 1 or 2 takes at this section of the set, right? And so if someone fucked it up on the first show, you really don't want them to fuck it up on the second show. And so that can happen. So you don't want to lose your cool or get flustered. Even if someone's like fucking up your shit, basically.
Yeah.
You want to take it with as much grace as you can, mostly, right? You don't want to get red in the face and like get all fidgety and uncomfortable.
So just invite all friends and family. And then you said,
I know, that's my night.
Yeah. I got a question for you. So because you've done quite a lot in the short amount of time you've been doing comedy. What advice would you have to comics who are starting out?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I would do, it's definitely write as many jokes and try as many jokes as you can because you're just trying to figure out your voice, so to speak, and figure out you always got to write what you think is funny. Never write what you think the audience is going to think is funny. That's one big thing. But also at the beginning, actually Andrew Crone said this to me right at the beginning. It's way more important to try a bunch of stuff than to polish stuff when you're just starting out.
Yeah.
You can do polished stuff later on, but you just want to try and figure out as many. It's very much quantity over quality at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
As far as like career, I still have no.
But you
still don't figure that out.
It changes so much that like what I thought was going to be the way you build a career in comedy when I started has completely been.
Oh well, the whole industry's gone, and that's the thing about predicting the future now. Good luck.
Because I used to be like, don't ever post anything until you're 5 years in, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, you should start posting every single set.
Yeah, maybe every show should.
People are like, I just started. People are like, oh, where's all your stuff? I'm like, well, I don't fucking know. We can't.
The rules are gone.
It's like so weird. Like we put little things out, but a lot of stuff I'm honestly like, I don't know if I want people to be able to find that on the internet of things I've said of people.
That's another thing I would say is you're always gonna be inaccurate with your assessment of your own skills. Like you're always going to be worse than you think or better than you think depending on how you're thinking at the time, right? Yeah. Usually at the beginning you fluctuate from thinking you're the best to the worst, like big fluctuations depending on your last set. But in general, people either overestimate how funny they are at first especially maybe probably not just at first.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
You have to have the confidence. You can't get over here and be like, I suck.
Yeah, you're never gonna do this.
But you also people will underestimate how funny they are.
Yeah, that's very true.
It fluctuates.
I think it's just on the person. Like I know so many comics who underestimate and so many who overestimate, and I don't think there's anyone who's really got a good assessment.
When we talk about selling yourself too, like the better marketer you are or the better person you are, you do get more gigs and more opportunities.
Huge.
Well, look, I'm doing a show in LA on Monday for like 300 people, and I've only been doing it for like a year. Like, what the fuck? Like, I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be there.
No,
but here you're there. Yeah, you're like, but it's like, you know.
Yeah, and that's what you just said is true. It's like carrying yourself, and like that's one thing that you're gonna have over so many people is like just that you've had a life where you have to be a professional. And so there's so many people who get into this, and like we were saying about the art thing, it's the first time they've made art, it's the first time they've had to sell themselves, the first time they've done anything. And then it's like, it becomes really difficult.
Well, you see some of the guys shaking like a leaf before they get up there. And it's like, holy man, you're about to get up in front of 100 people, and like you should have a little more confidence.
I was that guy. I was terrified.
But you were always a great writer. And I think that it was like,
my delivery was
so you were confident in your stuff, but not you.
Confident. I very rarely.
But it was you too. He's being modest. He's always been very good. He's always been very good.
I don't know.
That's true.
But I would see people like Kyle Patton with like 100% charisma up there, just like ripping it apart, and I go up there with my like well-crafted bits and just shit in the room.
You were always
but
fun.
I think that was
I think we were very. I think like hindsight, looking back on what the comedy scene was at the very beginning, we were so lucky that the makeup of the scene was the way it was. We had so many different folks, and they really excelled at their areas, style, and so that gave us such like a unique. Even though the scene was very small, we got to see all different ways of doing things and doing them well, and people got good really fast. And I always thought, I'm like, if this is the beginning, imagine what it'll be like. And it's like, no, that was a fluke, and it could have very well been shit, and it wasn't. And it sort of helped us. Pushed us, because the scene, to be blunt, it doesn't really like go like this. It doesn't get amazing. It just kind of like goes up a little bit here and there. Maybe it gets a little better over time, but for the most part, it kind of stays around.
But your roster changes all the time.
That's what I'm talking about. The roster changes so much.
More comedians doing it in the scene now by like a factor of 3.
There is more now? See, I think there's none.
No,
I'm like, why is there nobody doing it?
For the size of this.
There was 8 comics when I started, and if we were lucky, 8 audience members.
Yeah.
We used to pull in people from the main
See, and
room.
I'm like, I just did like 6 weeks in a row, and I'm like, man, doesn't he have anybody else?
It was
literally had 8 people on the roster.
And just so you know, now how many comics we have is exceptional for the size of the city.
Oh yeah, this is a big.
Because if there are cities the size of Kelowna in BC with no comics.
So don't come to open mics. We don't need any more out.
Not to mention the amount of shows going on.
Yeah,
there's
it's great.
Such a demand for comedy, and there's not that many comedians to fill that demand. But there's the open mic we do is like very healthy compared to a lot of big cities as far as audience and comedian retention.
Yeah, we're lucky.
But I will say, I don't know if it's just my memory, but I swear to God, the new guys now are way better than we were when I started.
Oh, of course. Okay. Because they got examples of what
that's what I think.
What it looks like.
We get to watch it every day on Netflix and listen.
And then you go to a show and there's great guys closing the shows and good guys hosting, and
that's true. We all
we're like, I want to be like that guy, and that guy was terrible.
Yeah. Some of those shows, like every one of those guys could easily feature.
Oh yeah.
And when you're there, you're like, so back in the day, it wasn't the same.
No. Like I see like Logan Bly or like Max Stevenson, like some of these young guys are like, they have so much more confidence and better. They're just better at comedy quicker than we were.
Yep.
And I think you're right. Is that we didn't have reels every like on our phone back then. Like every 2 seconds, you're seeing a great comedian do a bit or a shitty comedian doing a bit. We basically got like the Netflix specials that were coming out, and then that was what we would.
But
we're everywhere and everything now. You see
it's fun.
Instagram, just even scroll on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Look at all these guys that you have no clue who they are. There's just bits and bits and bits, and you can feel that. That.
And it's such more of an accepted hobby or art form to pursue now, where there's so much less. I feel like they're way more confident right away too.
Yeah.
Like what I'm doing is normal. Back when we were started, like what we're doing is fucking weird.
Yeah.
And like people when they found out you did stand up, and I only like doing it 10 years, but even back then, it was like telling them you were a fucking vigilante, like fighting people at night. It had so much more mystique to it, but we were worse at it, right?
Yeah.
People now.
And we had so much fun.
Tell me a joke. Tell me a joke.
The trips we used to do at the beginning, because we'd be like, oh, we got to do the road. So we get like 6 or 8 guys in the car and drive to like
Fort St. John.
Fort St. John.
I think that would be fun.
It is.
I just remember the first time we went up there, our hotel was not ready, or we were there a night early, so we went to the strip club. There was a hotel attached to it, and 7 of us stayed in one shitty hotel room. I remember laying on the ground, no blanket, just rolling over, and there was a stale piece of pizza that just right on the ground that had not cleaned the room at all.
It's crazy. We want to go to Tokyo, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we could just stay in the pods at the airport." I'm like, no, you can. I'm like, I'm gonna get a nice hotel.
Still got that fucking street raccoon.
Yeah, he's like, oh, we can make it cheap. I'm like, no, we
probably have free peanuts at the bar.
It's like, but I can see where that comes from.
Yeah, you have to. It's like if you're getting paid $50.
Well, when we go to a show in Creston, you'll feel right at home in the hotel.
I bet I will.
Do you think, a little changing topic a little bit, do you think the long jokes or story jokes with the payoff at the end are worth it? Or do you like the shorter, keep people going and rolling the whole time?
I think if you're going to tell a long joke, it's got to have punchlines throughout the whole thing. So like that's one thing that I struggled with when I started, because I think naturally I wanted to do storytelling, although I would get offended when people called me that for some reason. Because I thought I was more of like an opinion comedian, like a point of view, like this is what I think about this, but it just naturally went into storytelling more. But the thing is about stories is that you have to give them all the details so the story makes sense, but every time you give them a detail, it has to be in joke form. So you have to be able to give them the details in joke form. So you can't just be like telling them the set and setting of the story and then have one big punchline at the end. That doesn't work. You'll lose the audience.
People seem bored. I've seen a few guys do like a 3-minute story with no real laughter, and then I'm like, well, this better be good by the time they get to where they're going.
By that time, half the audience is checked out.
They don't even know what's happening.
They're on their phone. If you look and you're waiting, you see them on their phone or starting to chat to the other people, it's like, okay, they should have got to it funny. And where I think I like the making them laugh all the way along, and then if you get to that bigger,
then it's still have the big payoff at the end, but like you really gotta like, they have like very little attention span, so you got to give them a reason to perk up every like 30 seconds. So, but
I really hope people come and see you. If you haven't seen Jordan before,
so good.
He's honestly one of the best. So please do go see him. Check him out. He's the best. Check out, and if you're far away and you're like, oh, I can't go outside, I've got herpes. Go on YouTube.
Sun-powered herpes.
On YouTube and look up his
even the charity shows.
Yeah.
You do get those people, like you said. You've done those charity shows
I've done thousands.
But those people love it, but they don't really convey that they love it. Like it's a rough laughter sometimes, like the little chuckle or the...
Well, it's because a lot of the charity shows a lot of them aren't even comedy fans.
And they don't know, that's right.
That's the biggest point.
They don't know how to act.
Out of every 4 people, only one wants to be there and drag the other 3.
They're not like comedy savvy, so to speak. They might not know what like modern stand is.
How many times has this happened at an open charity show? You're like, oh, I don't know when, and then after the show, they're like, that was awesome. I know,
they come up and they're shaking your hands and thank you so much.
Because you're like, when do you laugh?
It hurt you to laugh.
That's why I try to avoid shitting on the audience, even if I feel like I'm bombing. 100%. Because a lot of times they're like, we're loving this. I don't know what you're talking about. And then if you keep shitting on them, they're like, oh, like, fuck this guy.
I did a show in Toronto with Kyle, and it was like a normal lit room. So there was no, and everybody was like, it was weird. Like there was no crazy laugh. And then everybody then absolutely loved it. But I was like, well, fuck it. If you would have laughed and been with it, the 4 of us would have been a lot more with you.
Was it a corporate? Like where they all worked? Did they all work
well, a lot of it was people I knew from our conferences and stuff. So we had filled like this restaurant thing. And it was like, it went over good and they loved it. But it was like it was weird laughter. Like it was like each table was kind of like individual laughing. Like it wasn't like you didn't feel that. When they get behind you and everybody's laughing and you just throw shit out there and it builds. There's no feeling like that in the world. I think that's
basically corporate comedy.
But what you're also describing the opposite of is what happens at Dakota's, where you do have this like camaraderie of people at a show, right? When people are all there and everyone's chosen to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best.
Yeah.
But how many times a corporate just that isn't the case? There's no one. There's only
And
a few people.
brightly
who
lit
choose to be there.
room, like you said. And
Yeah.
Now everybody feels
It's
exposed.
tough. You're standing on a pallet, and you're like,
Yeah.
and you tell like, I know like some of those jokes might be like a little off color kind of thing, and then like people were almost looking around the room to see if other people were laughing.
If it was up to me, I always say this. If it was up to me, my perfect comedy club is no one can come in a group bigger than 2. Like, you can bring one friend. The more people that all know each other in a room, the harder it's going to be if they don't all jive with you right away, right? But people are way more likely to laugh if they don't know anyone in the room.
That's interesting.
Or they only know 1 or 2 people. That's why corporates can be so goddamn hard, because everybody is like checking themselves. They can't really just let go and pay attention and laugh, because they're like, I don't want to be seen laughing at certain stuff.
Well, and that's some of those charity shows too. I've done a couple theme shows, and the crowd is so different.
Yeah, way different.
It is. Or if you know you're going to be there,
If
you
you
invite friends.
and this goes to your point, is like if you only sign up for like those super cream of the crop shows, then you don't grow as a comic. If you only do Swipe Right and Sick and Twisted and like open mic, it's like if that was all you did, you're missing out on so much growth.
I did my first 8-person
Dakota's is
show.
very unique in that open mic is considered a hot show, because most cities you go to an open mic, it's 4 other comedians in the corner talking over your set. It's like very rarely do you have a full audience of comedy loving people in the room.
So there you go. We're trying to tell.
check out our
We've
open
had
mics.
a couple people
Yeah,
come. Ryan's
yeah.
on the roster now, and
Yeah.
he started watching this.
Yeah, this is
even though Katie hasn't posted
our
his
new
podcast.
recruitment.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he's been good, really good. And then I've been bugging him. We want to build a night where we can bring all these brand new ones all at once and do it.
All the new guys?
Yeah, there's a ton of people that want to try, and they're
And you
kind
know
of
what?
scared.
If you market it that way, that's going to move tickets, I think.
No, but what he's talking about is try it for the first time.
the first time ever.
Try it for
yeah.
the first time. What you're talking about is new guys on a show on the weekend,
Which is brand new first time.
Yeah,
that would
these
move
guys.
tickets
I don't
too.
know.
Yeah,
Well,
we would
that-
really have to.
all
get
their
some
friends
seasoned
and
people in
family,
there.
all their friends and family would come.
Yeah.
Brian wants us to run a church
There's
show.
positives and negatives to
Yeah.
like being like, hey, first timer show. It's,
Yeah.
It could really.
It's like, it gets people in. It could be the worst show of all
It
time.
could make them never want to even watch
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah, that could be the
But
worst.
if you put in seasoned people in between,
Yeah.
then you can really.
But an open mic, if you're talking about just recruiting people more effectively for an open mic and rebranding it, then 100%, who cares?
I was thinking about telling you I'd take like a whole show, have a host and me,
Yeah.
and then all these new people be like, hey, so-and-so wants to come up, even if they came up for like a minute or a joke or one of their
Yeah.
best things.
You're
And
just
then-
talking about open mic. You
But-
just want to put a different spin on open mic. That's
But
open
no,
mic.
but I know. I
Open
don't
mic
know why.
for first timers.
Yeah, which is open mic.
Which
you
is
could just
mostly
do,
open
like,
mic,
you
but they're
could-
scared to do it because
Yeah,
all the
just-
other comedians are
good.
like breathing down your neck.
Good.
I know there's always, but that's part of.
It's part of it, man. You don't
Yeah.
want to hold anyone's hand too
Trust
tight.
me, it's a way more welcoming environment now than it used
But
to
the
be.